takes care
Okay.
of it.
Sure, sure.
Because you're sharing a lot of nice information and we would want to hear it.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay.
Sorry to interrupt.
No worries. Sure. So then, Bhakti Siddhanta Swami Maharaj said that if all the books in the whole world were destroyed, nothing is lost because Srimad Bhagavatam, if it's there, it's enough for us, right? So there is a book in Padma Puran. There is a translation of just 6 chapters, which is part of Padma Puran, which is titled Bhagavatam Mahatmya. Srimad Bhagavatam Mahatmya, that is the glories of Bhagavatam. So we see that Srimad Bhagavatam is actually the mature fruit of the Vedic tree, and it can grant all your desires. What desires? Spiritual desires, yeah, not material. We don't hear Bhagavatam for material. So generally what the process is, a lot of us, we know that there are Bhagavatam Saptaha. It's also called Saptaha Yajna. It is something which people do after someone leaves their body, their family, or it is also done for attaining desires. But generally, pure devotees of the Lord, you all are free from material desires, right? So we do not engage in recitations or rituals to gain any material. But this is a process which we are going through, which we are doing because we want the Lord. You know, our only desire is the love of Krishna. So Puranas, sometimes they directly or indirectly, they instruct you in a storytelling way. Yeah, and you will see that Bhagavatam also. So Bhagavad Gita did not have any storytelling, right? Krishna just gave you philosophy. And stories came in only through puppets and all that. But Krishna, when he spoke to Arjuna, of course, you can't expect storytelling in the middle of a war, right? He's not making Arjuna go to sleep. It's not a bedtime story. So he gave philosophy. Bhagavatam is so sweet that you will get all indirect also philosophy in a storytelling format. So the real purpose is to attain love of Krishna. So there are 4 sampradayas, and ours is Krishna. From Krishna, it comes to Brahma, Madhava Sampradaya. So Lord Brahma, he listened to the Bhagavatam for 2 years, and then he passed it on to Narad Muni. Narad Muni was so fortunate that he also heard Bhagavatam from the 4 Kumaras. He approached the 4 Kumaras, and they also narrated the Bhagavatam to him. We also know the story about how Lord Shiva was narrating the Bhagavatam. Tell me if you know it. If you don't know, I'll just give you a short story. Do you all know the story about Shukadev Goswami's appearance? Yes? No? No?
No, Mataji.
Okay. So, Anu, you must be knowing, right? Yeah. So, you want to tell, Anu? Do you want to tell them the story? Go ahead.
No, please, Supriya Mataji, it's all yours.
Okay, so Lord Shiva was, of course, Lord Shiva and Parvati in Kailash were sitting, and Parvati had this desire to hear the Bhagavatam from Lord Shiva. So Lord Shiva started narrating the Bhagavatam to Mother Parvati, and he was narrating it. He got lost in his narration. His eyes were closed, and she was listening. And every time he would say, she would say, you know, and he would continue, but his eyes were closed. And then it happened that Mother Parvati fell asleep. She fell asleep, and there was a parrot listening to this pastimes, listening to Bhagavatam. And so Lord Shiva's eyes were closed, and he was narrating. So now the parrot knew that Mother Parvati had gone to sleep. So as he was narrating, Lord Shiva was narrating, the parrot, Shuka, the parrot, he started saying, so that Lord Shiva wouldn't stop, and he could continue listening to the parrot. And who was Shuka? Shuka was Srimati Radharani's favorite parrot. So he was listening to Bhagavatam, and then once Lord Shiva finished the entire narration, he opened his eyes and he saw Parvati was sleeping. He said, then who is this who was making those sounds and making me continue? And immediately Shuka flew. And he saw Shuka flying, and he took his trident and started following. Because one of the things in Bhagavatam is you shouldn't narrate the Bhagavatam to an unqualified person. So he did not know that Shuka was Radharani Shuka. So he just followed. And of course, this is all the Leela of the Lord. So Shuka the parrot went to where Vyasadeva was narrating the Bhagavatam to his wife. And it so happened that Vyasadeva's wife opened her mouth to drink something or eat something or say something, and Shuka flew into her mouth and went into her womb. And Lord Shiva reached there, and Vyasadeva got up, paid us obeisances, and said, what happened? Everything was narrated to Vyasadeva. Vyasadeva said, don't worry. Anyone who has even heard a little, even a akshar or a word of Bhagavatam is purified. So you don't worry. The person is not unqualified. And then Vyasadeva's wife was very happy that now she had a child in her womb. But Shuka did not take birth till he was 16 years old. He refused to come out of the womb. He remained inside and kept listening to Vyasadeva narrate the Bhagavatam again and again and again, but he refused to take birth. And then eventually, when Vyasadeva promised him that he will not be materially contaminated, that he came out, but immediately ran into the forest. And that's why his name is also Shuka Dev Goswami. He's named after Radharani's parrot. So now, so this is actually a little bit of a sequence also, which we will come to how it is the sequence of Bhagavatam being narrated. So Lord Krishna narrated it to Lakshmi within a month, and she was Lord Vishnu, and massaging his feet, and he narrated the Bhagavatam to her. She then forward narrated it, and that's the Shri Sampradaya. So these 4 Sampradayas is how they got their Bhagavatam. So Narad Muni got it from Lakshmi Devi, got it from 4 Kumaras, got it from Lord Shiva. So he's extremely thirsty to hear, and we should also imbibe that quality of always being eager to hear Bhagavatam from a qualified person, of course, any devotee. So Shukadev Goswami, we know that in the beginning of Bhagavatam, Suta Goswami was approached in the forest of Naimisharanya by all the sages. Now, what had happened was Krishna had gone back to Goloka. And why? Because Kali Yuga had to come. He had finished his pastimes. He wound up his pastimes. And now the sages knew Kali Yuga was coming, so they started on a 1,000-year sacrifice. So they approached Shaunaka Rishi, and Shaunaka Rishi approached Suta Goswami and said that, how can one increase the devotion and renunciation from material things now, because Kali Yuga is coming? How do Vaishnavas get relief from illusion created by Maya? And in Kali Yuga, the general populace, they're going to be very demonic. So please explain, therefore, the best means to purify all these various tribulations and problems. So Suta Goswami, please describe what sadhana to do, what is most auspicious. A touchstone can give you only material desires and material happiness. Kalpavriksha can at the most give you heavenly opulence. But how can one attain the eternal abode? How can you go to Vaikuntha planets, which is not even achieved by yogis? So Suta Goswami was very, 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 very munificent, and he said that I will give you the essence of the conclusions of all the Vedic literature, which destroys the fear of birth and death. So, and Not only that, it increases your devotion uh, to Lord Krishna, which actually makes Krishna happy. So, hear attentively. So, what is our main focus here? Our main focus is don't worry about getting out of this cycle of birth and death. It is a side effect. It will happen automatically. We are here to increase our devotion, increase our love, and attain Krishna Prem. So he talks about how when Shukadev Goswami, so Suta Goswami says that when Shukadev Goswami sat among all the rishis and he was preparing to recite, he prepared to recite Bhagavatam to Parikshit Maharaj, all the devatas, what do? They are very expert at accomplishing their work, right? The devatas know exactly how to accomplish their work. So they approached Shukadev Goswami with a pot of nectar, Amrit. They offered their obeisances to Shukadev Goswami and said, please accept this Amrit and let Parikshit Maharaj drink this. He will become immortal. He will not die of the curse by being bitten by Takshak the snake. But in return, give us the nectar of Bhagavatam. So at that time, Shukadev Goswami thought in his mind, what? How can you even compare nectar, Amrit, and Bhagavatam? I mean, one is a piece of glass and one is a diamond, a transcendental gem. How can you even compare these two? So what is Shukdev Goswami saying here is that this nectar is actually just material. It's this Amrit, I mean, Ravan was crazy about Amrit. Hiranyaksha wanted immortality. Shukdev Goswami said, what nonsense. This Amrit is cheap glass. But Srimad Bhagavatam is a transcendental gem. So Shukdev Goswami actually made fun of the Devatas and said, and he did not consider them the proper recipients of Harikatha because they were devoid of pure devotional service. So hence, hearing of Srimad Bhagavatam is rare even among the Devatas, very rare. So Devatas actually are coming down because now ISKCON has so much of Bhagavatam. So you will find that maybe in the temple, maybe when you get the eyes to see them, you'll see that there are Devatas because it's rare in the heavenly planets. Lord Brahma was also astonished that Parikshit Maharaj got liberated. So the curse was that Takshak, which is a snake bird, actually would bite Parikshit Maharaj and he would die. So at the end of 7 days, we see that there is the Takshak snake comes and Parikshit Maharaj's body goes into flames. Actually, Parikshit Maharaj was liberated even before Takshak came. He was already liberated. What was there was just the body. So there was nothing about the curse taking place. So one way of looking at it is that when you approach the Lord, you get liberation. None of this affects you. Second is Srimad Bhagavatam. The recitation of Srimad Bhagavatam can counter any curse you get. So any inauspiciousness in your life, any enviousness from someone else, you say, everything is countered by just listening to or reading or chanting the Srimad Bhagavatam. So it relieves you. Because Srimad Bhagavatam is non-different from Krishna, it relieves you from all material distresses. What was the material distress for Parikshit Maharaj? Was some snake bird coming and biting him, which was not possible because he was anyway a pure devotee. So then once Narad Muni was going and he sees a cow and sorry, he doesn't see a cow. That's a different story. He sees a very beautiful lady and 2 old men next to her and she's crying. So when he approaches her, I'm making a very long story short because it's a very long story. So when he approaches her, he asks the lady, who are you and what happened? Why are you so sad? She said, I am Bhakti Devi. And these are my 2 sons, Dhyan and Vairagya. And they have become older than me. They become so weak. And what am I to do? So he was like, what happened? He said, Kali Yuga has come And I see that people have become so lazy and less intelligent and become pretenders. They only want to accumulate wealth. What are we talking about? We're talking about 5,000 years before. We see that now. We think that maybe in those days it wasn't like that. No. As soon as the Lord left and Kali Yuga started, this symptoms already started showing. So irreligiosity was getting at its peak. So she said that, people, they sell grains. In those times, grains were not sold in the market. It was easily distributed by the king to everyone. But after Kali Yuga started, there were ill effects of Kali Yuga. So Bhakti Devi was very dejected. She says that I was always serving the Lord, but now ever since the Lord has left, there is nowhere for me to live. So please explain your distress in detail, Narad Muni says. Says, I'm Bhakti, and my two sons, Gyan and Vairagya, by the influence of time, they become old, they become handicapped. So, and there were other ladies also, very, ill-dressed ladies, unkempt, very shabby looking ladies. Say, who are these? They say, these are all the holy rivers. This is Mother Ganga, Yamuna, all these ladies over here. So they have also come here to serve me. And although I am directly being served by the ladies, I'm still not peaceful, because the only wealth for people is austerity. But now there's no austerity. So then she says that she tells a small story which has a little relevance. I will tell that later. She says that I was born, so Bhakti Devi tells Narad Muni, I was born in the land of Dravid in South India, and I grew up in Karnataka. I was respected in the state of Maharashtra, but when I came to Gujarat, I lost my youth. So what does this mean? So then she says that rogues influenced by Kali Yuga broke my limbs for a long time, and I remained in that condition along with my friends, with my sons. But then I came to Vrindavan, and I regained my youth and beauty. So, but my sons are, too old, they're tired, they cannot travel, but I will have to leave the place and travel to foreign lands. So I feel sad of what will happen to my sons. We always are together, but I am young and they become old. And this is because of the ruthless age of Kali Yuga. So she was telling this story, and then she said that why didn't Parikshit Maharaj kill Kali Yuga? Because Parikshit Maharaj did meet Kali Purush. He's saying, why did he leave him? Why did Lord Hari tolerate irreligion? So Narad Muni said that Kali Yuga took control and started obstructing all auspiciousness. So what is the nature of Kali Yuga? It is his job to block auspiciousness. And this started ever since Lord Krishna left for his abode. So when Parikshit Maharaj was traveling the earth and conquering the kings, he met Kali Purush, who fell at his feet and took shelter of him. Now Parikshit Maharaj knew what was going to happen, so he decided not to kill him. But the goal over here was not to attain any samadhi or anything, but it was to perform Hari Kirtan. So when Parikshit Maharaj was actually cursed, he found this as an opportunity to introduce Bhagavatam to the world. And that's when, and this is all by Krishna's mercy that we are getting it. Although Kali Yuga knew that, although Parikshit Maharaj knew that Kali Yuga would be useless, but he spotted one good essential quality. And what was that quality? Anyone can tell me in Kali Yuga? Anyone can, I'm sure you can guess.
Truthfulness.
Nam Sankirtan, yes. One good quality is that you just by chanting the names of the Lord can get liberated. In Satya Yuga, you had to do so much austerities. Treta, Dwapar, all different austerities. But the one good quality of Kali Yuga is that so easily, just by chanting the names of the Lord, you in fact, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, you don't have to even look at time, place, nothing. You can chant anywhere, anytime. There's nothing like a particular time and particular process. You just chant. So easy. That's the one perfect quality of Kali Yuga, which we should be very grateful to Kali Purush for that. Devotees actually don't hate Kali. We love Kali Yuga. Why? Because he's made it very easy for us. It is so easy. Imagine if you were born in Satya Yuga and you had to meditate for 50,000 years. Can you even do it for 15 minutes? Not me, definitely. Definitely not me. So that was the quality why Parikshit Maharaj did not kill Kali Yuga. So now, like Bhakti Devi said, what is the history of Bhakti Devi? So what is the history of Bhakti movement? So when she said that I was born in Dravid Desh in South India, which means that they were very great Vaishnavas in South India, right? So she's talking about Ramanujacharya, who came so many years ago. And he started the Sri Sampradaya. And Ramanujacharya was none other than Lord Balaram himself. Lakshman, Ram Anuj is Lakshman. So he is Lord Balaram. And he appeared in South India. So she's talking about that. Then she talks about when I appeared in the state of Karnataka. So who gave bhakti from Karnataka? Madhvacharya, who is in our Sampradaya. And he preached very rigorously and nurtured bhakti. Then she went to Maharashtra, and there was saints over there, Sant Tukaram and in Pandharpur, who propagated bhakti. But when she went to Gujarat, which actually had so many devotees, what was happening? Bhakti was becoming weaker and weaker. Gujarat actually had many great devotees. Ramanand Roy also was in Gujarat. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's very close associate was from Gujarat. He was living there. And she became very weak. Why? Because trade started. There was lots of trade happening. So people were moving away from spiritual to material. So this was the progress of time. She's talking about how time progresses. It's not about just particular states. It's about how time progressed. That's all. It's just an allegory. So then in Gujarat, bhakti was slowly neglected, which means that bhakti started becoming neglected. And when one starts worshipping the body, deha, then worship of deva becomes neglected. So we should worship dev, right? God, not deha. We should not worship our body. Otherwise bhakti becomes weak. And when bhakti is weak, Gyan and Vairagya automatically become old, emaciated, tired. So this is how Puranas normally give you stories. Now, Vrindavan is an eternal abode of Lord Krishna. So when Bhakti came to Vrindavan, naturally she flourished because no one can touch Vrindavan, right? It's eternally the Lord's abode. So if one neglects hearing Krishna Katha, then Gyan and Vairagya remain in a fainted state. So if you think that if you're only going to do austerities, eventually that is also going to become weak. Why? Because you're not hearing Krishna Katha. So when you're hearing Krishna Katha, automatically you will want to do austerities. Vairagya. What is Vairagya? Austerities or detachment. For detachment, you need austerities. So you will start fasting. You will start leaving the results of everything to Krishna. You will become more affectionate but not attached. And Gyan automatically will come as you hear. Correct? So Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita also that Agyana ena vritam jnanam tena muhnati janatavaha. You will know me by bhakti. not just by Gyan, right? So that was so many glories which we learned from Narad Muni. So why did Srila Prabhupada make the first canto so large? Because he tried to fit everything into the first canto. He did not know. We all know that he went to the US at a very, very old age. So he did not know whether he would be alive to translate so many more books. So he said, let me pack everything in the first canto. If I'm not able to print more books, at least the people who read the first canto will get a gist of everything. So you will find a lot of shlokas from Chaitanya Charitamrita, the Nectar of Devotion, and from other places in the Bhagavatam, all fitting into the first canto. So first canto, actually, people get scared, especially the first 3 verses where the purports keep going into pages and pages and pages, and you get scared. Actually, it's nectar. It is pure nectar. So there's nothing to fear about Bhagavatam. Why? Because when you hear it from a devotee, and when you hear it in parampara, they make it easy for you. So the fear of Bhagavatam should not be there. You should fear. Actually, you will start fearing when you don't do Bhagavatam. You start missing Bhagavatam. Oh, I did not read today. Chalo, let me at least read for 5 minutes. That is what your goal should be. And then from that, you take on other goals. When you start missing Bhagavatam, so these are all signs of progress. So when people say, is my chanting really taking effect? If you want to hear more, if you want to read more, if you want to listen more, if you want to know more about Prabhupada or any other devotee, that's the sign. If you want to do more seva, if you want to ask more, you're inquisitive, you have questions, it's a sign that your chanting is working. So what do we do when our chanting is working? We chant better. We chant more. We don't stop, do we? When something is working, we do more of it. Right? If I use a new cream from the market and my face glows and everyone says, wow, you're looking amazing. I'm giving a very mundane example, but I will continue with it, right? I'm not going to say, okay, I'm done. This is what I wanted. I wanted one person to tell me I'm looking good and that's it, I'm done. No, you want it. You'll continue with it because it's working. Same way. If it's working, that means you increase it. So one of the best, I would say for myself, is that when I read Bhagavatam, my chanting is better. So hearing Bhagavatam and everything should not be something which you do once a week. So Nityam Bhagavata Sevya, right? Either you hear or you read. So we will focus to that. So what happened at the end? So a lot of people, we know that Bhagavatam was narrated by Shukadev Goswami. Okay, let's first, before we get into that, we all know how many cantos are there in Bhagavatam. Yes, and we should aim to finish all 12, not take it too slow, not too fast also. So how many cantos? 12. Yeah. Yes, Anjali?
12.
12. How many verses, Anjali? Any idea? Total verses?
So many thousand.
18.
18,000. Yeah, 18,000. And anyone knows how many chapters? Total? 335 chapters. So a lot of people do 1 chapter a day and finish it in a year. Yeah, but that is called Swadhyaya, which you must do. Not that you have to do 1 chapter a day. I'm just saying what people do. Okay, so we know that the Bhagavatam, entire thing, okay, Parikshit Maharaj heard Bhagavatam, but he didn't need purports like us. He was so intelligent that Shukadev Goswami spoke it and he heard it and he understood it and he even told the gist of it, which is Birhat Bhagavatamritam, to his mother. Right? So now, when he finished, when Shukadev Goswami finished, what happened was that the Lord himself, Lord Krishna, with his associates, came there. And who was with him? Prahlad Maharaj, Bali Maharaj, Uddhav, Arjun, Lord Shiva and Parvati came, Lord Brahma came, Lord Indra came, all of them came. And Narad Muni was already there. So Narad Muni saw Lord, and he got up, offered his obeisances, and then offered him a seat to sit. So then Lord Krishna, when he sat, now Prahlad is supposed to be very, very super fast in playing kartals. Did we know that? So isn't that great? When you see someone playing kartals very fast, you should immediately think about Prahlad Maharaj. Prahlad Maharaj was very swift at playing kartals. Uddhav played the big kartals, the cymbals, the big ones which goes boom. Uddhav plays that. So if you see that, think of Uddhav. This is how you must always meditate. Then Arjun was an expert in all ragas. So he started singing. And who played the mridang for Arjun? Do you know? Lord Indra himself. Yeah, and Shukadev Goswami got up and very, nicely, gracefully was moving his hands, and they were having a tumultuous kirtan. Lord Krishna was so happy, and and then what happened? Everybody was shouting Jai, Jai, and joining in the kirtan. Imagine, I was thinking, I just want to see that scene. Can someone just record it and send it to me? Don't you want to see that? Oh, amazing, isn't it? I got goosebumps when I was reading this. So observing all this, Lord Krishna was so happy. He was so happy. And he told Shukadev Goswami, I am so happy with your recitation of the Bhagavatam. Ask me for a boon. You have to ask me. So that's what all the devatas, the Lord, they have to give you a boon. So every time they give you darshan, they are obliged to give you a boon. So every time you go in front of your deities, they are giving you darshan. You're not taking darshan, okay? They are giving you darshan. So they are obliged to give you a boon. So every time you go in front of the deities, please ask for a boon. Not material, ask things like, oh Krishna, I'm not able to learn this shloka, please help me. Oh Krishna, give me buddhi that I will not flick the phone and watch YouTube shorts or Insta reels. Please give me detachment from my phone. Or Krishna, please, I want to read, please give me inspiration to read. Yeah. Something like that. Oh Krishna, please, I want to meet Vishaka Mataji. Please give me a plane ticket to go meet her. I haven't met you for a long time, Vishaka. Yeah. So these are things, because I know if I meet Vishaka, then definitely I'll go to Vrindavan. Definitely she'll make sure that I meet Guru Maharaj. So ulterior motive, Vishaka.
I wish I had your bhav.
So what did Shukadev Goswami ask for? He said, oh Lord, please give me this benediction that whenever and wherever there is a recitation of Bhagavatam, you appear with your devotees, with your associates there. And Krishna was so happy, he said, I grant it. He granted it. Shukadev Goswami could have asked for anything, right? But he had everything. He had even association of the Lord. He had even an eternal place. So he, again, the second benefit he gave us. First of all was narrating the Bhagavatam. And second of all was that he makes the Lord promise us that wherever there is a recitation does not mean you have to have a mic and have to have 10 people and you have to recite it aloud. Even if you're reading it yourself at home, the Lord appears with his associates, not for you, because he promised Shukadev Goswami. So we have to be very grateful to Shukadev Goswami. So at the end of 7 days, Parikshit Maharaj was liberated. And so what is the timeline of this? So if you see, the Bhagavatam has 3 sets of people narrating the Bhagavatam. So one is Vidur and Maitreya Rishi. The second set is Shukadev and Parikshit, and the third set is Suta Goswami and and Shaunaka Rishi and the other sages, right? So Vidur, from the third canto onwards, we'll hear about how Maitreya Rishi narrates the Bhagavatam to Vidur, and then the same Bhagavatam was written by Vyasadev, who then narrated it to Shukadev Goswami. Shukadev Goswami is now narrating it to Parikshit Maharaj. At that time, Suta Goswami was a 5-year-old child. He was Romaharshana's son. He heard the Bhagavatam, and then later on, he became the leader and he narrated it to all the other sages. So this is the timeline of it. So,
just a question, Mataji, this timeline meaning it was first spoken by Vidur to Maitreya and then by Sukdev Goswami to Parikshit?
in the Bhagavatam, which we are going to, in the 12 cantos, that's how the sequence is. Bhagavatam was spoken eternally to Mother Lakshmi, to Lord Shiva. So you can never say first time where. And it's come from all the different Puranas. And Vyasadev compiled it also into one as Bhagavatam. And he's the literary incarnation of the Lord himself. But I'm talking about timeline in the 12 cantos is that first we will hear, in the first canto, we're talking about Suta Goswami is telling to the sages of Naimisharanya. And that is the background. And then he will narrate what he heard from Shukadev Goswami, narrating it to Parikshit Maharaj. And Shukadev Goswami will give reference of Maitreya Rishi narrating it to Vidur. So therefore, in the Bhagavatam, you will find Shukadev Uvacha suddenly, and then Suta Uvacha suddenly, and then Vidur, Maitreya Uvacha suddenly. So you should not get confused who's telling whom. Shukadev is telling Parikshit about what Maitreya Rishi told Vidur, and then Suta Goswami is telling the sages what Shukadev told Parikshit. So here again, if you see, this is what even Srila Prabhupada has followed. Bhagavatam as it is, as it is, as it is. So when he says Bhagavad Gita as it is, he's talking about this parampara, which is not broken, right? So Maitreya Rishi, what did Maitreya Rishi tell Vidur? You will of course get it in the 3rd canto, but I'm just giving you its hint. When Krishna wound up his pastimes and left for the eternal, for Golok Vrindavan, he did not meet Vidur. Vidur was in the different pilgrimage. This was after the war and everything. So Krishna did not meet his devotee before leaving, right? So he left a message with Maitreya Rishi that Vidur will come and I'm leaving. So you're going to tell him all this, okay? So Vidur was like, wow, the Lord thought of me before leaving? And he said, yes, so now sit down. You have to hear because Krishna told me I have to tell you, you know. So Maitreya Rishi told Vidur. And what Maitreya Rishi told Vidur, Shukadev will tell Parikshit. Not that Shukadev heard it directly from Maitreya and Vidur, Vyasadev. He heard it from Vyasadev. And then Shukadev telling Parikshit, Suta Goswami was present and he narrated the entire Bhagavatam to the sages of Naimisharanya. So this is the kind of timeline. First canto, you will not find Shukadev telling Parikshit. You will start from the 2nd canto. And then 3rd canto will start with Vidur telling, Maitreya telling Vidur. So that timeline is how it is, as it is. So Srimad Bhagavatam is a Mahapuran. You know, why is it called a Mahapuran? Because it has nothing material. All the other Purans have parts of Bhagavatam in it. So all that was taken by Vyasadev and put into Srimad Bhagavatam. It's called a Mahapuran. It's also part of the Mahabharata. Right? Bhagavatam, there are parts of Mahabharata also. You will find when we do Srimad Bhagavatam. So now simply by listening to Srimad Bhagavatam, you will get love and devotion to Krishna. because it's all about Krishna. It's all about him. It's all about his avatars. And so this extinguishes the fire of lamentation, of sorrow, of any kind of anguish you have, illusion and fearfulness. So all this, whatever fear you have, whatever illusion you have, and whatever lamentation, anguish you have is all destroyed. By regularly attending Srimad Bhagavatam, what will happen? Two things. One thing is you must serve both Bhagavats. Bhagavatam is also called Bhagavat and the devotee is also called Bhagavat. So by serving both the Bhagavats, all that is troublesome in your heart will be destroyed. So Srila Prabhupada says that every day you must spend at least 2 hours reading. You can't do that? Then at least spend some time, at least half an hour reading or hearing some class. What I do in the morning is that Mayapur TV comes, right? So they have Nityam Bhagavatam. So I follow that. They're doing the 18th chapter, first canto 18th chapter. So every day I just listen to that one class. And then midday I do a little bit of reading. Evening I do a reading of Chaitanya Charitamrita. Before sleeping, I read or hear, some lecture. We attend some class. So Prabhu and I sit and we read together. So something has to be done. So you can keep a reminder. You can put a reminder on your phone or put an alarm on your phone that, okay, this is my time. I'm just going to spend some time. Or if you have some spare time at work, supposing you're working and you can just get about 10 minutes, just read one shloka, one translation, part of the purport. If the purport is too long, one paragraph, then increase it. Small baby steps, but increase your goals. So the gist of it is that there are 10 subjects in the entire Srimad Bhagavatam. So Bhagavad Gita had 5 topics, right? 5 subjects. Anyone can tell me what are the 5?
ज्ञान योग, कर्म योग, भक्ति योग, बुद्धि योग.
Okay, that is the different yogas. I'm talking about.
I think it is Prakriti.
Yes.
Prakriti. Then Kal.
Yes.
Then I think the soul, super soul.
Yes.
God.
Ishwar. Yes.
Okay. I think one more that I'm missing.
Jiva.
Okay.
Yeah. So Ishwar, Prakriti,
Question.
Kal, Karma, and what did I miss?
Jiva.
Yeah. Ishwar, Prakriti, Jiva, Kal, and Karma. So these are the 5 topics of Bhagavad Gita. So Bhagavad Gita touches on all these 5 topics. It gives you the knowledge of all these 5 topics. What does Srimad Bhagavatam give you? First, it gives you is creation. Creation, the Lord, all the raw materials, the ingredients of creation, which Krishna. Second topic, gives you sub-creation, which is done by Brahma. What does Lord Brahma do? So Brahma is also called creator, but he is the secondary creator. Yeah. So first topic is creation. Second topic is sub-creation. Third is maintenance of creation. Fourth is special favor, which is given to the faithful. What is the special favor given? Fifth one is what impetus is there for activity? What is the impetus for activity? Karma. What is the impetus for karma? We learned what is karma in Bhagavad Gita. Here you will learn what is the impetus for karma. Then prescribed duties for those who follow who are law-abiding, who follow the laws of Prakriti. Yeah. 7th is descriptions of the various incarnations of the Lord. All the incarnations. Most of the incarnations. Many of the incarnations are not there. It is not possible to put it in 18,000. Most of it is there. Yeah. Then 7th, 8th is winding up of creation. So there is creation, sub-creation, maintenance, and here they're talking about winding up, dissolution. Yeah. Then liberation of gross and subtle body, liberation. Yeah. Then the 10th, which is the most important. I mean, everything is important, but the ultimate shelter, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, about him and his activities and how to approach him. Yeah. So the rules is, I mean, we should all have some kind of say a routine, when we are attending Bhagavatam. One is that we will be doing it in sections. We will not do it one verse at a time because it's going to take forever. And I'm sure we're all in a hurry to reach 10th canto. Everyone is in a hurry. I know that. Even if you don't say so, I know that. So we will do it section wise. And before itself, like at the end of this class, I will send what verses we will do to Vishaka Mataji and she'll post it. So I would like you all to read and come before class. So you have a week. So I will, so for next class, we will do the first 3 shlokas, which is the Sambandha, Abhideya and Prayojana verse of Bhagavatam, which Srila Vyasadeva has put as the Pranam mantra. So these 3, try to read the purports. They are extremely long. I know that. Try to read how much ever you can. Yeah, but we will do it. And secondly, please make notes, because when you make notes, then you can ask questions. And you must ask questions. Okay, what is the one biggest impediment to your progress in bhakti? Is your doubts. So if you leave the doubt, if you don't clarify it, it forms a knot in your heart. And when it forms a knot in your heart, there is definite chance of fall down. There will not be progress, because that knot reduces your faith. So you must ask, you must clarify your doubts, you must ask questions. And at the end of every class, you must try to give your realization. We'll at least, time permits, we'll take how many ever possible. At least 2 or 3 of you should give some realization. What is your takeaway from each class? And at the beginning of a class, maybe Vishaka Mataji, you can help in this. You can have one person, just a 2-minute gratitude to Srila, your Guru and Srila Prabhupada, or Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Krishna, whatever, or everyone. Just a 2-minute, everyone can take turns. Maybe you can have someone do the seva of, telling in advance that who will be doing it for the next week. And you just come 2 minutes, just a small. Why is this important? Is that when you have gratitude in your heart, your progress triples, actually, it multifolds. Because without gratitude, you are stuck in your bhakti. You don't go up. Gratitude makes you progress faster. Yeah, because gratitude means you glorify. And when you glorify, Krishna makes your path easier. So one person, just 2 minutes, small, say, gratitude. Yeah. And so Srila Prabhupada wanted that everyone should have a set of Bhagavatam and Chaitanya Charitamrita in your home. I don't know whether you all have or not. If you don't have, it's good to have one if you like reading books. If you prefer digital, then it's up to you. Yeah. Also, it's also that if you donate a Bhagavatam on a Purnamasi, on a full moon night, you are forever, you have a little bit of easy access, into Vaikuntha. So maybe you all can gift each other on Purnima if you all are buying. If you don't want to buy the whole set, I think you get the first canto, just each canto separately also. Those who want to buy books, because I'm a book person, for me digital is like, it's nice. It's very easy to carry and take everywhere. But I like the book. I like it. I'm old generation now. New generation are all electronic. Okay, so we'll stop for today. And anything you all want to ask or say, any comments, any realizations?
Me, Mataji,
Yes.
what did you mean by impetus of karma? I did not understand that.
Impetus means what is the catalyst, or what makes you do that? What makes you do that duty? That
What
work
motivates you? What
motivates.
motivates you?
Impetus means push, yes. A catalyst, yes. Nice.
Hare Krishna Mataji, I have one question.
Hare Krishna, Hema Mataji, how are you?
Good, good Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Hare
I have
Krishna.
to ask, as you say in between, that Kali made
Your voice
Parikshit
is not
Maharaj and
coming.
he took his shelter. When the
Sorry.
Kali took the Kali Purush take the shelter of Parikshit Maharaj, still his effects are so harsh. Why so?
Because Kali is sanctioned by the Lord, right? He has to come. That is part of creation. Satya Yug, then Treta Yug, then Dwapar Yug, then Kali Yug. Kali Yug is the duty of Kali Purush. It has to be strong because that is his duty. And the only place he is not strong is where, because Parikshit Maharaj said, we will learn this in the 17th chapter, in the first canto, that when Parikshit said that you cannot stay here, he says, look, please, I fall at your feet. I am sent by the Lord. I'm supposed to, it's time. Please give me shelter. So then Parikshit Maharaj says, okay, so wherever you can only stay where there is meat eating, where there is gambling, where there is illicit sex, and where there is intoxication. So Kali Purush said, but this is your kingdom. There is nothing. All these are not there. Then Parikshit Maharaj said, okay, there is one more place where you can stay, is where there is a lot of gold, wealth. So what happened when Kali took shelter of wherever there was wealth? So wherever there is wealth, automatically these 4 disqualifications come. So where there is, so now you'll ask me, but there are devotees who are very wealthy, but the devotees follow the 4 regulative principles, and where there are devotees, Kali Yuga cannot be there, right? So therefore, Kali Yuga, even if you're in Kali Yuga, Kali cannot affect you because you are following, chanting, you are listening, you are doing Bhagavatam, you're following the 4 regulative principles. 4 regulative principles are actually the 4 pillars of dharma, right? Satyam, Daya, Shaucham, and Tapa. Those are the 4 regulative principles. So people think that Srila Prabhupada gave these 4 regulative principles. These are just different words for the 4 pillars of dharma. Satya is no gambling, Shaucham is no illicit sex, Tapa is austerity, there is no, and Daya is no meat eating, austerity is no intoxication. These are the 4 pillars of dharma, which are the 4 regulative principles. So Kali could stay there. So Parikshit Maharaj has to, everyone has to do their duty as per allotted by Krishna. So Kali Purush had to become strong.
Thank you, Mataji. Nice answer.
You don't have to worry, you're a devotee. Where there are devotees, there is. So when Srila Prabhupada says, so you see, this is how you put things together. When Srila Prabhupada says that we are in the 10,000 years of golden age, have you all heard that? We are in the 10,000 years of golden age, right? Yes? You all have heard this, right?
Yes, Mataji.
Yes. So out of which 500 have passed. We still have 9,500. What is another name for Satya Yuga? Anyone knows? The golden period. So when you are chanting, when you are following these 4 regulative principles. In Kali Yuga, you are in Satya Yuga. Right? Devotees do not live in Kali Yuga. But we take the one thing which is great in Kali Yuga. We take advantage of that. That is chanting. Okay. Nice. Bharti Mataji, Hare Krishna. Now I'm seeing many more names. Hare Krishna. Okay, so
Hare Krishna, Mataji.
Hare Krishna, how are you? So nice to see
I'm
you.
good. I'm good. I was just listening. Actually, I'm out till from tomorrow onwards. I'm going to vacation, so I just came to the market for the shopping. But all my concentration was on your lecture, what you were giving. So
Oh,
interesting. So interesting.
Jai. Oh, Jai to Srila.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Oh, Srila Prabhupada, we have to be grateful to him. This is all his. I'm just a parrot.
No. Thank you.
Okay, so any other questions or comments or anything? Or Vishaka Mataji, we can stop for today. You want to say something? Your comments, please.
No comments. Sorry, I have to get up so many times in between because my
No.
father-in-law needed some attention. So I'm glad we recorded this class because I would definitely want to hear it again. So many jewels of information were there here. And did I hear correctly that you said that every week one person has to do a gratitude?
Yes, we
exercise?
start class with a gratitude and
Okay.
each one can take turns.
Turns,
And
yeah.
maybe you can give a seva to someone to put their names, make a list who's going to do.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah. And that person who's in charge of the seva, if no one is there, then that person does it.
The Sevadari does it.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Okay.
So this is called
It's a
impetus.
brilliant. It's a brilliant idea.
Anjali Mataji, this is impetus for seva. So if that sevadhari does not find someone, this is an impetus for that person to do the seva so that that person doesn't get caught.
Right.
Yeah. And you said that the first 3 verses we have to read
Yes.
before the next class.
Yes, always come a little prepared for class because see, we will be doing sections. If we are doing one verse class, we're just going to take forever.
Yeah.
And then we can do it in detail. But it's always good to come with a reading so that we can then, discuss a little more deeper.
Yeah. और इस बहाने हमारी reading हो जाएगी सबकी regular हो जाएगी.
So you can do your Nitya Bhagavatam Seva by reading for the next class.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you. Thanks a lot.
Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Mataji.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Panchakalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhya eva cha
Eva
bhavnebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Hare
Thank you.
Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.